It's only smoke and mirrors. Whoa! I love that theme, by the way. How's it going, everyone? It is IPC, and this is What If Cody Rhodes Never Left WWE. Let's break it down. So first things first, let's go over the timeline. So Cody Rhodes is the son of the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, one of the greatest of all time. He is also the brother of Dustin Rhodes, who is the artist formerly known as Goldust. But Cody would make his WWE debut on July the 2nd, 2007. He would start things off by teaming up with Bob Holly and winning the World Tag Team Champions. He would then turn on Bob Holly to join the Legacy faction with Randy Orton and Ted DiBiase Jr., where they would win a couple more tag team titles along the way. Good stuff so far. Once the faction split in 2010, Cody Rhodes would go on his single career, taking on the gimmick of Dashing Cody Rhodes and winning a bunch of Intercontinental Championships along the way. Good stuff so far. He would then go on to team with Damien Sandow as the Team Rhodes Scholars, which at that point I was like, yeah, that's all fine and dandy, but when are you going to put the World Heavyweight Championship on Cody? Damien Sandow would then turn on Cody after winning Money in the Bank. Seriously, you're not going to put Cody in the title picture at all? But then they decide to finally put Cody in the title picture by having him face against Randy Orton. And losing. And getting fired. And then after that, they decided to have him team up with Goldust, where he adapted the gimmick of Stardust, which, I won't lie, I really like Stardust, but he ain't no Ziggy Stardust. Sorry, Cody. And then the inevitable happened. Cody Rhodes requested for his release from WWE on May 21st, 2016. So what went wrong with Cody Rhodes' career in WWE? I mean, everything started out fine for him. He was winning tag team gold, singles gold, but then he started losing, and losing, and losing, and creative just didn't have no direction for him, and there was no plans of pushing him as a main eventer. So Cody decided to leave WWE, and if WWE wasn't going to make him into a star, then I guess he's going to be a star somewhere else, and that's why we have AEW now. But what if Cody decided to stay with WWE and give them one more chance? And how would everything pan out for Cody? Well, this is what I would do. So first thing I would do is I would have WWE try to negotiate a new deal with Cody. One of those deals being that Cody will have complete creative control of his character. And no, that doesn't mean that he has creative control over his matches, but how his character is presented on television. And the other deal is for Cody to be able to have a WrestleMania dream match with his brother. And that, of course, convinces Cody to sign a brand new deal with WWE. So it is then announced on Raw that Cody Rhodes would stay with the company. And yes, they refer to him as Cody Rhodes and not Stardust, because Stardust is no more. Cody Rhodes is going to come back as Cody Rhodes. Now, I'm not going to put Cody Rhodes in the title picture just yet, so instead, Cody is going to have a match at Extreme Rules against Sami Zayn. So this version of Cody is of course going to be his American Nightmare gimmick. Bleach blonde hair and all. So at Extreme Rules, Cody and Sami Zayn are going to tear down the house, but of course, Cody Rhodes wins the match. So at the next pay-per-view, Money in the Bank, Cody will be a participant in the Money in the Bank match, where he ultimately wins Money in the Bank. So at this time, there was the WWE Draft, and of course, Cody Rhodes was drafted to Raw. So Cody is going to be facing off against Kevin Owens at Battleground, which of course, Cody Rhodes would go on to defeat Kevin Owens at Battleground. Now, let's get Cody Rhodes in an actual feud, and he's going to be going after the Intercontinental Champion, The Miz. The Miz believes that he is better than Cody Rhodes and that he deserves to carry that Money in the Bank briefcase. So both the Money in the Bank briefcase and the Intercontinental Championship will be on the line at SummerSlam as Cody Rhodes takes on The Miz. And despite The Miz's efforts, he unfortunately ends up coming short as Cody Rhodes counters a skull-crushing finale with a crossroads and wins the Intercontinental Championship. So the next night on Raw, Finn Balor ends up vacating the Universal Championship, which of course a new champion will be decided at the end of the night in a fatal 4-way elimination match, featuring Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Kevin Owens. And while Cody Rhodes does manage to eliminate Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, he unfortunately comes up short against Kevin Owens, who ends up winning the match and the Universal Championship thanks to the help of Triple H. So the next week on Raw, Cody Rhodes ends up becoming #1 contender for the Universal Championship. So at Clash of Champions, it's Cody Rhodes against Kevin Owens, which of course Cody Rhodes would end up losing that match thanks to some interference from Chris Jericho. And it's the following night on Raw that Chris Jericho ends up defeating Cody Rhodes for the Intercontinental Championship after some help from Kevin Owens. So now Cody has had enough of Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens shenanigans, so he decides to get some help from his older brother, Goldust. So it's at Hell in the Cell that Cody Rhodes with Goldust will take on Kevin Owens with Chris Jericho for the Universal Championship in a Hell in the Cell match. And it's thanks to the help of Goldust that Chris Jericho is not able to interfere in this match. So Cody manages to defeat Kevin Owens and become the new Universal Champion. So now Cody has the Universal Championship as well as the Money in the Bank briefcase. So right now, no one can take the championship off of him. And this completely changes Cody's demeanor, because now he has all the power and control. So yeah, at this point, it's time for me to turn Cody Rhodes heel. And his next opponent, which will be at Survivor Series, is going to be Roman Reigns. So at Survivor Series, it's Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes for the Universal Championship. And unfortunately, Roman Reigns ends up losing to Cody Rhodes thanks to the help of Goldust. So I don't want Cody Rhodes to always have to rely on Goldust to help him win. So at the next pay-per-view at Roadblock, Roman Reigns is going to face against Cody Rhodes once again for the Universal Championship. Only this time, Cody Rhodes is going to beat Roman Reigns by himself, because he is that damn good. So now, that feud between Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes is done. We can now focus on the Royal Rumble. And it's at the Royal Rumble that Cody Rhodes' next opponent will be Finn Balor. Because if you guys remember, Finn Balor didn't lose the Universal Championship. He had to give it up. So Finn Balor now wants his rematch for the title that he never lost. So at the Royal Rumble, it's Cody Rhodes versus Finn Balor. Universal Championship on the line. And it's at the Royal Rumble that Finn Balor manages to beat Cody Rhodes for the Universal Championship. So the next night on Raw, Cody announces that he is indeed going to be using his rematch clause at Fastlane for the Universal Championship. But then Goldust asks his brother, why not use the Money in the Bank briefcase? Why not use it on him tonight? And Cody pats his brother on the back and tells him to stay out of this. So, it's Fastlane, Cody Rhodes versus Finn Balor in a Universal Championship rematch. Which, of course, Finn Balor retains the Universal Championship. But then Goldust comes out with the Money in the Bank briefcase, and he tells the ref to ring the bell because Cody Rhodes is cashing in his Money in the Bank briefcase. Which the ref does. And then Goldust beats down Finn Balor and tells Cody to pin him, which of course Cody refuses. And then out of nowhere, Goldust clocks him in the head with a briefcase where he lays Finn Balor on top of Cody. The ref pins 1, 2, 3, and there goes his Money in the Bank opportunity due to his brother turning against him. So the next night on Raw, Cody cuts a scathing promo on his brother saying you just couldn't stay out of it. You couldn't stay out of my business. You costed me everything that I worked hard for. And it's because of your selfishness that I am no longer the Universal Champion. And you also took away my only opportunity when you decided to cash in that Money in the Bank briefcase and basically turn on me. And if Dad was still around right now, he would tell you that you are a complete disgrace to the Rhodes name. Goldust comes out and explains himself to Cody. Cody, you should have listened to me. I'm the older brother here. I know what's best for you. I'm just doing what my father told me to do, and that was to protect my little brother. But now that our daddy is no longer here, at WrestleMania, I am going to beat you senseless. So, we get the dream match that we all wanted. That is Cody Rhodes versus Goldust at WrestleMania. And Cody Rhodes wins the match. And that is how I would book Cody Rhodes if he never left the WWE. He would of course look like a main event star, and not just that, he would get the chance to hold the Universal Championship, and he would get that dream match with his older brother Goldust. But do you guys disagree with that? Let me know in the comments section below. Also, let me know some suggestions for other what ifs if you guys have any. Let me know in the comments section. And also, don't forget to like this video and be sure to subscribe to this channel for more content such as this. Anyways, this has been PC, signing off. I'll see you guys in the next video.